Welcome to the Goth and the Sloth. I am your Sloth, Matt.
And I'm Luna the Goth.
This is the podcast of two friends living a country apart, living our best lives, and discussing everything we get into. We decided to take the first part of our podcast to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic and everything going on and how it affects your lives, how it affects our lives, and how it affects everything.
All things ever.
How you doing today?
I'm fine. Just fine.
That's not very convincing.
Uh-huh.
But everything is terrible in the world, so I'm just going to believe you.
So be it. You probably can't see it, but you see my leg.
Yeah.
So we're Skyping while we do this, and I'm sitting on the couch because it's way more comfortable, I've discovered, than my office chair. My office chair's fine, but I've been spending 12 plus hours working every day because I'm working on this project, blah, blah, blah. And I have this habit of randomly stretching my leg upward when I can, and I just so happen to be able to stretch my leg upward. So it's probably going to happen a lot during this podcast.
So you're just a cat. You're just gonna stretch your leg at random times and show off to everybody.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm wearing clothes, so I'm not showing everyone my butthole, but if I wasn't wearing clothes, Oh my god. How are you today?
Great start. Hanging in there, doing what I can.
You know. We're living. We're living life.
We're living
as
life.
humans on the planet. You know.
Yeah. Hopefully not on the planet soon enough, but that's my goal for later in life.
That's right. You want to leave the planet.
I do.
Start a colony on Mars.
I always sign up whenever they have that option to be like, one-way ticket to Mars. Put in your application. Like, you're going to have computers, and I know how to, unplug them really good. So, I'll be there.
The best Martian IT group. Can you please fix my computer? Oh, I can unplug it.
Did you try turning it off and back on again?
I cannot plug it back in, though. I am not covered to do that for you. Can you please grab the hell and replug your computer?
Ultra unions on Mars. I'm not allowed to touch the plug. I need you to come touch the plug.
Exactly. Oh, my lord.
So let's dive into it. What's going on in the greater Virginia area?
Well, numbers are climbing, but at about the same pace as last week. I'm predicting, because this past weekend was Memorial Day, that we will see a rise in the next couple of weeks maybe, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So, as of right now, we have 41,401 cases. We have 4,442 hospitalizations and 1,338 deaths in the state. So I think that puts us, I know that's about 200 more deaths than last week. And we recorded late last week, but only by a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're, the numbers, they going up.
They are.
It's just awful, but everything's awful. So
Everything is awful because of COVID-19.
There you go. That should be your band's next cover. In the national news, I saw a couple things that got my attention. There's an article in the Seattle Times called, it's titled "Half of Newly Diagnosed Coronavirus Cases in Washington Are People Under 40." And it got my attention because Washington State, out of the states that were hit pretty hard, it was hit pretty hard and early, but they also responded quickly, probably more quickly than most states.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a generally successful story about flattening the curve. That said, I feel that some people seem to act like this virus is somehow less deadly or less significant because the curve has been quote unquote flattened,
Mm-hmm.
but the virus is still there. That the flattened curve just means that there's a hospital bed for you when you need to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it just makes me nervous how many people are getting sick in the younger demographics. They said that 39% of confirmed cases statewide were in the age range of 20 to 39, and 11% were 19 and younger.
Wow.
So
Well, I know looking at the data for Colorado, for just cases in general, it spikes really hard for 30 to 40-year-olds.
yeah, it's
So,
just interesting. I mean, if you compare that to the stats from our two-part episode series on the 1918 pandemic and the 2009 pandemic, that's definitely a noticeable shift.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I wonder if it's
eh,
a virus thing or if it's a nurture thing, like a nature versus nurture thing. Like, is the virus more susceptible to that age, or is it these people being out and around and they need to be out and around because they're young and doing things, and then they catch
yeah,
it?
it's a good question. Who knows? It's like what was that? I think I saw it a little while ago where someone had posted a sign outside of their house that was like, I ordered a chicken and an egg from Amazon. I'll let you know. It's like, oh, you're clever. And so, granted, this information is just for confirmed cases and not necessarily hospitalization or deaths.
Mm-hmm.
But, like you just mentioned, like this is the group that's out rushing out to bars and beaches on Memorial Day and sweating all over each other. So,
That's my
yeah,
favorite pastime, is just standing over people and sweating on them at the beach.
that
It's super fun.
is terrifying. I don't, I don't, I, I don't know how that might be my Achilles heel. Like anything else, cop a feel or something, I'll kick you in the balls. But then, like, sweat on me, I'd just be like,
You don't even know how to react.
okay. The other thing I saw on the news was the good old folks in the White House
Yeah.
are pushing the use of hydroxychloroquine to prevent COVID. So, like, as a prophylactic. Um, This is against the advice of the FDA
Yep.
and any study ever that shows that it can be harmful if you're just taking it for fun.
So this is
Um,
against the suggestion of just science.
yes,
Okay.
it's against the suggestion of science. I find the most upsetting thing about this being the lupus patients that actually
Need it?
need
Yep.
this drug as something that helps manage their condition. Um, like if you're interested in reading about it, you can do a simple Google search, and there are several, like many accounts from many different people that are explaining their situation. Essentially, they're unable to refill their prescriptions.
Mm-hmm.
They need to ration their pills now, and they have a diagnosed illness.
Yep.
This isn't guesswork.
Yeah.
Like this is, it's just insane. And one story I read on USA Today mentioned that without it helping to contain flare-ups, this person was saying that they would end up in the hospital, which is not great when you're immunocompromised.
Yep.
And it's fucking expensive
Yeah.
to need to go to the hospital. It's not just like, oh, they can just go to the hospital. No, like you could be dooming someone to
Financial
a
ruin.
lifetime of financial
Yep.
insecurity by just saying, oh, well, they can just go to the hospital to get it. Like, ugh,
Yeah. No,
gross.
that's insane. You know what's a cheaper and more viable way to prevent getting the virus?
A mask?
A mask and staying home.
Dang right. Well, it might not be cheaper, depending on who you are and how much work you might be missing.
This is also true.
But
But a
yeah,
mask is also
it's
very cheap.
right. Just like do the things that science says works. It's not that hard.
They're not it's not expensive and it's not hard. Just do these little things. It's fine.
Stop being an idiot.
Yes.
in general. All right, what about you?
So Colorado, we're starting to, I wouldn't say taper off, but it's slowing. So we now have 25,121 confirmed cases. That's up 2,000 from last week. But the previous week we were up 3,000. So slower numbers. 4,254 hospitalized, which is up 200 from the previous week. And 1,168 deaths, which is only up about 100 from last week.
Yeah, that's good
So,
news that it looks like it's slowing.
yeah. So if we just keep
Did you say 20 something thousand cases?
25,000 cases.
How are we almost double your cases in Virginia?
I don't know. This is just the
Bizarre.
numbers I just got.
Huh, interesting. Well, that's good.
I mean, yeah.
That's really good, except for your hospitalization and death rate aren't
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
compared to.
Yeah, no, they're dropping pretty good. But yeah, it's slowing, so that's always good. So let's just, if we can stay the course, we can ride this out. Like, let's not stop now. Just ride the
Right?
course.
Minimal damage. We're looking for minimal damage. Like, we don't want to see more people needlessly get sick.
Yeah. So speaking of staying the course, but yet doing the opposite, Colorado is opening.
So, not speaking of it
Yeah.
at all.
Trying to have a cool transition, didn't work.
Mm.
Colorado's opening dine-in service. It actually has already opened.
Oh, really? What's the
The
restriction?
restrictions are no more than 8 people per party. You need to have max ventilation, so open windows, open patios whenever you can. No mingling between parties. Reservations are encouraged, and you must wait in your car for your turn. And I also thought I saw something, this didn't say it, but I thought it was 50% occupancy.
So, okay, the 50% occupancy is the part where I'm like, oh, okay, at least that's something. But everything you just described is like going out to dinner as an introvert.
Yeah.
Like, not talking to people, just going for your reservation,
Yep.
eating, going home.
Yep.
Like, what's different here?
But yeah, they're encouraged to keep tables as far apart as possible. But yeah, 50% of the occupancy that they were rated at. So tables farther apart.
That's something, I guess.
They're moving. I mean, it's not something I really personally care about because I am single and an introvert, and I would rather Grubhub it and eat in my lazy pants at home than go out to a restaurant. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind eating at restaurants, but I'm certainly not going right now.
yeah,
It's, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the think restaurants might be open in Richmond. Again, I was like, oh, that's nice. I'm not going.
yeah.
But or actually, sorry, Virginia, but Richmond and Northern Virginia are only reopening, I think, this weekend. So, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. To swing to a sad but smart choice, Waterworld is closed for the season this year. They will not be opening.
It's not shocking.
Not
at all.
shocking, but it's still a great choice, though. So I applaud them for not, trying to find a way around it or do whatever. They're just like, nah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you didn't know, it's the world's biggest water park, or at least the country's biggest water park by square footage, not by the amount of rides.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just because it's sprawled out, not because you're talking to someone that grew up in Central Florida. Like, I know a water park when I see one, and Waterworld is cute.
Hey, it's the only time we get to enjoy water in Colorado. We have no water, all right?
It's true. It's true. I can't fault you guys. It's fine. It's like Waterworld, not quite, but Waterworld is like Lakeside is to Busch Gardens.
Ouch. Jeez.
Okay, not that bad. Waterworld's not that bad.
As I say,
They have
yeah.
like legitimate rides and like LED lights that haven't gone out.
Yeah. Lakeside is where theme park rides go to die. When they get a new ride,
No.
it's something they purchased from somebody else that didn't want it anymore.
I mean, maybe. They were supposed to be coming out with a new ride soonish. Probably not anymore, but
Yeah. Because, yeah, Ela,
they were.
I
I remember they
guarantee
were
they're
gonna.
probably closed. I haven't checked into Lakeside, but
Who, Lakeside?
yeah.
What's the difference? Like you.
You can easily social distance at Lakeside for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you have an equal chance of getting
This
tetanus
is also true.
or the virus or really anything.
Yeah, the
Anything.
Black
You
Plague.
could get Ebola. I mean, I love Lakeside, don't get me wrong, but it's it's fun because it reminds me of the good old days when there weren't any
Yeah.
rules.
Like, I rode the chipmunk ride and got syphilis. I don't know how that worked, but
And it's the sheer actual terror that you don't know if the ride is going to be together by the
it
end.
is absolutely a thrill ride park because, yeah, you
Oh
do
my
not,
god.
your safety is not guaranteed.
Man, I miss Lakeside. Anyway, for all you non-Coloradan people, I encourage you to even just Wikipedia Lakeside. It's actually got a really interesting
It
story.
does.
Super old.
And Elitch is going to be closed too, obviously.
Right,
But
right.
Elitch just sucks. I'd actually prefer Lakeside these days. But anywho,
Same. I mean, if you're going to go to a fair,
yeah.
you might as well go to Lakeside.
Might as well go with one that has a little bit of personality and panache than, leftover scraps from Six Flags.
True story. Anyway.
Anyways, in national news, the only story that really caught my attention was today that we've officially hit a really sad benchmark in the virus, in that over 100,000 people have now died.
Indeed. Yep, we have hit a milestone, and all of a sudden, our president seems to care. He was tweeting about it.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to the families or whatever it is that he said, and I'm just like, you know what would have saved their lives, or at least a good chunk of them? Action.
Yeah, moving a little
Your
sooner.
action.
I mean,
Much faster.
there was a great tweet related to that, and we can edit this out if you want. But it's like, if we tell the president that Corona tried to block him on social media, do you think he'll care a little bit more?
Absolutely. Why would I edit that out? That's so true. Oh, Lord.
He is awful.
Yep, everything sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great, guys.
We're
It's
doing
great.
great. It's fine.
Everything's fine. I hope you guys are much better than I feel right now.
This is fine. You just need that coffee mug in the fire. This is fine. It's all. It's fine. So what's going on
Yeah.
with you personally? What news do you got going on?
In personal news, my life has kind of come to a halt. I have this giant project that I've been working on, so I've just been 12 plus hours a day at my computer, busting it out. It's good that I have the work. I'm thankful for it. Not one complaint. I do hope that I get a day off. I will probably have to force myself to take a day off sometime, but in general, I am just, I think, shell shocked. No, I'm not shocked. I'm, I am.
You are.
I am. So this past weekend was Memorial Day weekend, and in the span of a whopping 48 hours, there were two stories that took the news by storm. One of which was the story of George Floyd,
Hmm.
who was murdered by Minnesota police um, for, existing. And
Being black in
Amy Cooper.
America.
Yeah, exactly. And Amy Cooper was caught lying to cops while she was calling the cops while essentially strangling her dog in an attempt to, who knows what, probably have the same outcome that happened to George Floyd.
Hmm.
She was calling the cop on a black man who was just bird watching, taking pictures of birds, looking at them through binoculars, and he asked her to put a mask on, and she threatened to call the cops, then did call the cops and said, "This black man is threatening my life and is attacking me and my dog. Please help. Please send somebody." And this is the world we live in.
It is.
So it's not COVID news, but it has I mean, it affects me anytime I see this stuff, but I think I don't know. It just feels like nothing's changing and nothing will change. There are riots in Minnesota right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're burning and looting, and
National Guard
they,
was officially called in like an hour or two ago.
yeah, I believe they authorized live rounds, so we're gonna see more loss of life. And what really just infuriates me and depresses me all at once, because I don't really anger well, I sad well,
Mm-hmm.
but I the protest, like storming the Capitol in Michigan with a bunch of armed white dudes screaming in the faces of police officers, and the police officers are just standing there and quote unquote restraining them, but really just stopping them from walking further into the Capitol building.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was like last month.
Yep.
And now, you know, dude, I think they were arresting him for something that was some non-violent crime. I can't remember what it was. And I mean, you can watch the video online. I won't. I can't handle them.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna watch people that look like my family members die
Yeah.
on video. So it's not for me. But if other people want to watch it, it's out there. You can watch him pleading for his life, saying he can't breathe. It doesn't matter though. So anyway, not to go down this road. Just saying that in personal news, I'm tired and I'm angry and I'm upset and sad, and it's okay for me to feel all those things.
Absolutely. No, this is an
So,
awful, scary thing, and yeah, it's everything about it scares me. Like the storming the Target. I just know when I worked at Target, we had employees in there 24/7, even when we weren't open, and so hopefully they got out of there without too many injuries or any injuries to the
absolutely.
employees.
hmm
There's a protest going on literally right now in Colorado for the same thing, and I
Mm.
already read there were shots fired already. So
Are you serious? Oh, Jesus. I just don't want anyone else to get hurt. But it's like, how else do you get anyone to care about a black person's life?
yeah,
Like, there's the woman that was shot in her bed last month as well,
hmm
because they stormed the wrong apartment. It was just, I'm tired.
yeah. Now there's yeah, I won't go too far down this road, but yeah, we're taught in school that the Boston Tea Party was a great sign of patriotism, and that that act of rampaging violence is seen as taking our independence. But when
hmm
black people do the same thing, it's seen as destroying their neighborhoods and destroying everything. When
Yeah.
it's we people like Colin Kaepernick and other people tried to protest quietly, and that didn't work. So
Yeah. Yeah. It just, And then, and like in complete contrast, then we have our president that's like, I'm going to write an executive order because Twitter fact checked me.
because Twitter, like, come on, dude, there's nothing else you can focus on right now.
Absolutely. It's just like this week. I mean, this whole situation, the whole pandemic feels surreal.
Yeah,
I think everybody feels that, like, weird, our whole lives are disrupted. And then this week has felt surreal times three. Like, it's just, it's almost like I'm gonna have an out of body experience. Like, I'm just like, what is happening right
yeah.
now? So, that is a long way to say that. Uh, How about you? What's your personal news this week?
Hopefully, happier news.
I hope so.
My office is going to be closed until 4th of July weekend, or until after 4th of July weekend,
Woohoo!
so that feels good. They put out a survey asking how everyone feels about their safety, so that's really good that they're really watching out for us, and I
Heck
feel
yeah.
feel happy about that. That our company really they're not willing to put our safety in the way of getting back to normal.
Yeah, they're looking out for you. That's nice. It's nice to feel cared
So
about,
that's really good.
especially for a place where you're required to
Yeah.
be.
The band is officially back together and doing our stuff. So that's always good news. We have a show coming up. By the time this is out, it'll already have gone, but we have a stream going on this Saturday, and so that'll be a lot of fun. It's testing the
Yay.
water of new ways to do things. So the way this will work is one band at a time is allowed in the bar. The bar will not be actually open, like they won't be opening serving. They're essentially just supplying a stage. But yeah, you only one band in at a time, plus the sound guys, and everyone has to wear masks. And so it's an interesting idea to see, ways to continue music in a time where you can't have a regular everyday live show.
Yeah, it's interesting, and at least it serves the local, community. So,
Yeah,
because it's not like traveling bands are gonna come to this sort of
yeah. No,
thing.
these are all
Like,
local Colorado bands, so it's options to help out smaller bands that may not have the equipment or anything to stream themselves and all that fun stuff. So it's really cool.
that is great. Well, good. I'm looking forward to the show.
So yeah, I mean that's mostly my news. So to piggyback off of your news, that kind of brings us to our topic of the day.
So, today's main topic was suggested by TGTS All Star listener and artist Megan Stern.
Whoop!
Woo! Hi, Megan. Um,
She is the
so,
best.
I know, right? Um, so, she suggested this. She had sent me this video. So, our chat today is based primarily around the ideas of what was in this video. It's a medical grounds grand rounds panel discussion. It was hosted by the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus, the Department of Medicine. The panel was posted on YouTube, so check it out. I'll put the link in the show notes so that you can, you know, watch at your
I was gonna say
leisure.
it's unlisted, so you have to have the link. So yeah, if you put in the link,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, if you put in the link, you can watch it still.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I did not misguide
Nope.
you. I just almost misguided you. So the discussion covered basically the different aspects of mental health in the time of COVID-19 and the second wave of this pandemic, and whether that's going to be primarily a mental health crisis, just with everything going on, and how people are going to continue dealing with it.
Yeah.
So the just to give some credit to where credit is due, the panelists, I would like to list them just so you know if you know them, or you are interested in the conversation, you know where to go. So um, there were four panelists. One was Dr. Stephen Berkowitz. He's the director of the START Center and professor of psychiatry at the University of Colorado. Dr. Brooke Grease. I did not pay attention to how they pronounced her name. Griese. Um, Assistant clinical professor in the Department of Family Medicine at the University of Colorado and co-founder of Judy's House and Medicine at University. Oh my god, I can't speak. I'm sorry. Okay, Judy's House and Jag Institute for Grieving Children and Families. Whew, that took it out of me. All right. Dr. Charles C. Benight, director of the National Institute for Human Resilience at the University of Colorado Springs and chair of Veterans Health and Trauma. and Dr. C. Neil Epperson, uh, the Robert Reedman Endowed Professor and Chair at the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Colorado School of Medicine. Whew. Oh my gosh.
You got
Okay,
through it.
take it away, Matt.
So yeah, they talked a lot about some interesting things in how there could be some long-term effects that we're going to see from COVID that we may not have ever seen before, or at least not recorded, because they specifically mentioned there is no mental health data from the 1918 flu, at least, because at that time it was, rub some dirt on it and get back to work. So,
Yeah, and there was a war on.
there was a war too. So, yeah, so this is the first time we've really been able to. We've had tons of background study on different effects of depression and anxiety and things of that nature, and we can relate it to things spinning up from this virus. One guy had mentioned a paper made from one of the China hospitals, kind of getting over the flu and getting through, and they asked everyone how they feel on depression, and 13.8% said they had mild depression, 12.2% said moderate, and 4.3% said they had high levels of depression after dealing with, patients dealing with the flu. And this mostly focused on health caregivers, but I think it's pretty useful and universal that, we're seeing a lot more increase of worry, loss of sleep, increase of alcohol and THC to help cope. And all those lead to anxiety, depression, and, substance abuse as I drink a beer. And yeah, I'm personally seeing a lot of that myself. Not just the depression, but a lot of extra worry. When you go into a store, it's no longer even just like I just want to get my stuff and go. Now you're kind of eyeballing people and seeing, who's wearing a mask, who could be dangerous, And for me, it's not even the mask thing about them spreading germs. The mask thing is, at least for me at the moment, is this person going to cause a problem and be an issue? Because it seems to me that the people that aren't wearing the masks are the ones trying to make a statement about not wearing a mask and being a big deal about doing it. And it's like,
It does appear that
do I have
way.
to worry about this, this guy flying off the handle and how, maybe I should go a few aisles over and come back to this one.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we haven't explicitly said it before, but it's pretty obvious that Matt and I are on the side of science here. We are not COVID deniers. We do believe that this is
Mm-hmm.
happening. So, just to clear that up, if you were not familiar with our podcast.
As
Um,
Jesse Pinkman would say, yeah, science.
oh Lord. Oh man. But yeah, I agree. I think that everyone is just on high alert for
Yeah.
something and everything. It's an interesting time for sure.
Yeah, and some people don't know where to point that, and it just causes undue anxiety. On top of, they mentioned this that unlike other natural disasters, say like a flood or, the Japanese tsunami, that obviously is devastating, but the danger is over pretty quick, and then you can grieve. This is going to be continuous, and we don't know how long it's going to end, and we don't know what's going to happen. So you can't grieve. You can't even think about it. It took me a few weeks of working from home to even kind of register everything, because
Yeah,
the way we are in
absolutely.
society right now, it's all pretty move, 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 and
Yeah, that's a good point. Bringing that up, like I definitely being forced to be at home while it's difficult and losing my job, be the ability to work is difficult. I was able to at least sit down with myself and come to terms with what was happening around me. Otherwise, I would do what most of us I think would do, which is busy ourselves until our knuckles are bleeding,
Yeah.
like trying to hold on to some sort of normalcy, and this forced us all to go home. Some of us still had to work, but there's still an opportunity to sit down and say, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I've seen that because I talk to everyone in my office over the phone. There's just, you can see the gambit of people, how they deal with it.
mhm,
Some people are taking the good and are excited about working from home. Some people are in a perpetual state of panic. Some people are fighting against the new to get back to normal because that would be comfortable.
mhm.
And not in so many crazy ways as we're seeing in the news, but just like wanting to be in the office again and still going in the office every day, and fighting against that. And it's interesting to see people's headspaces going into this and continuing through it as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So they mentioned on this video about this article, and I tried to find it. They said it was called, is from the New Yorker, I believe they said it was, and it was young, single, and alone, and it talked about how people have to deal with it as they live alone, as both me and you do, and as most
Mhm.
studies show, it's actually a growing minority of people live by themselves, mostly
Interesting.
because,
Maybe it's because rent is going up.
and they've realized having a roommate is awful unless you're have other.
Oh, you're saying more people are living alone than before.
Yes.
Oh, okay, never mind. I retract my statement.
But I couldn't find that one. But I did find one that's called "How." This is New Yorker as well. How loneliness from the coronavirus isolation takes its own toll, and they of course talk about the immediate effects that we're seeing. Anxiety, depression, panic, things like that. But also long-term effects. They talked about how people that go through a traumatic experience and that become for a long time that becomes their normal, they have a hard time going back. They specifically
Hmm.
mentioned people that survived the Holocaust would still hoard food
Hmm.
because they had to do that to survive initially, and that just became the new normal. So it becomes, someone who's already, could be isolating themselves because they want to, now are forced to, and may now never come out of it, may just always be accepting of that.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I think about folks that lived through the Great Depression always for the rest of their lives thinking about
Mm-hmm.
money and saving every possible cent. Um, and in regards to isolation, I can certainly feel that. I feel the longer that I'm isolated, the more I'm fine with it and the less I want to reintegrate with the world.
Absolutely.
Um, I'd rather just stay here forever kind of now.
Now, I mean, I've thought that for a long time. Like, I've been, I've been
Right.
watching TV, like it's very in a weird way because I'm a weird specific person. I don't know if I could ever
It's true,
handle
you are.
someone being like, "Well, let's watch this show instead." But I'm like, "But today's Flash Day. We watch Flash on Flash Day."
Oh
And
boy.
the longer I go, it's like it doesn't matter. And then yeah, like when's my next movie theater experience where I'm gonna just like go into a theater and not think about it because I've been watching movies at home so much that I just like spread out across the seats and take off my pants and
Oh my god.
look for the remote to
I'm
pause
pretty
the
sure that's
movie.
still going to be illegal. I think, I mean, the one thing I miss are movie theaters.
Absolutely, yes.
Like, I, and the beautiful thing about movie theaters is that you can still, I go to the movies all the time by myself, and you're still
Mm-hmm.
alone.
Yeah.
So I count it as socialization, but really, I buy my ticket already, walk up, go directly to my seat, don't talk to a soul, unless I'm at an Alamo and I have to. And the lights go out and I'm alone again, just with a bigger screen.
But you got to buy popcorn and stuff. So you got to talk to someone to do that.
Barely. Barely. You can get away with being like, medium
Oh
popcorn,
yeah.
please. And that's
I
it.
mean, pretty soon with their apps, the way it's getting to, you just scan your phone and it'll just give you the food that's already on the phone.
Right? I want
this,
this.
this, please. But yeah, no, I'm definitely feeling. Yeah, you get it to the new normal and just feel like that's okay, and it's not wrong, but it's the human's natural reaction to seek out people, and loneliness is a effect of that. It's not. It is a feeling, but it's also a chemical reaction to needing connection and having the tribe mentality from way back in monkey brain days.
Yeah, I think the you mentioned loneliness specifically, and there's this well-timed book that just came out, I believe, or is about to come out. And I think it's called Loneliness. And it's by this guy he's a social scientist. He's been studying loneliness, and he talks about the detrimental effects that it has on the human body, on the psyche. It's really interesting. He did like a book tour podcast circuit, so I kept on hearing him on a bunch of different podcasts. I don't remember his name, but it was really interesting. I think maybe a really easy way to find his name is he was on both the I Weigh podcast and the Brene Brown podcast. So if you're familiar with either of those, um, they he was on both of those, and it's just really fascinating how much it affects us when we are isolated.
Yeah,
And it's so funny that like it's hard for my brain. My brain is like, science says that loneliness is not good for you. And then the other half of my brain is like, never talk to anyone ever again.
you got your devil and angel on each side.
Two devils.
All right,
One's from the east, one's from the west.
all right. Got one in like a clubbing outfit and another in like a robe and lazy pants. So one's go out and
Yes,
see people. The other's like, nah, just stay home.
that is exactly it. You've hit the nail on the head. It's absolutely correct.
But outside loneliness is, I mean, this can cause all sorts of additional issues too because it has interrupted people's lives in such a dramatic fashion that it's hard for people to cope. They had a really good quote from this article. Let me read it out to you here. The pandemic is forcing the human species and our brains to do the opposite of what we've learned to do over millennia in order to survive. James Cohen, a neurologist at the University of Virginia, compared the way the brain functions in times of stress to that of a salamander. He says a salamander wants a cool, dark, wet place in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's adapted to this environment and knows where to find food there. If a salamander walks out from under the rock into the sun on a hot, dry day, it will have a stress response and want to get back under the rock. The dilemma for us today is that we're all salamanders out in the sun told not to go back under the rock because because that habit is also the environmental niche for this virus.
Yeah, that's I mean, dude, dude got it down to a perfect metaphor.
And I think that's what we're seeing all over. It's just people's response to that stress response of saying, you can't do normal. Normal's
Yeah,
bad right now.
right. Oh,
And I think that's where we're seeing the Michigan protests, and even probably related to this protest because we're already on high alert.
oh, absolutely. I have no doubt that I mean I don't necessarily think that this protest wouldn't be happening right now. I'm sure it would be, but I feel like the escalation is a combination of so many different stress factors on communities, on families, on everything, and this may have acted like the last straw kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Um, but maybe not too. I don't want to I don't want to diminish the
Yeah.
protesters' cause. Like, I think do whatever it is that you want to do. I, Everybody's responsible for themselves as far as their actions go, and yeah, I just think that the stress that everyone's feeling um, is very likely tied into
Yeah.
everything.
And it goes back to also, when can we go under the rock? Well, we don't know. And that unknowing is
Right.
scary.
Well, some people know. Some people are right back under that
Right back
rock,
under the rock. Yep.
listening to music with their friends at a bar and sweating all over each other for
Yeah,
fun.
I'm looking in your
Um,
direction, Missouri. There's apparently a big old pool party in Missouri over mid Labor Day weekend.
oh yeah, and not the
Oh
only
yeah,
place. I mean, everywhere, everywhere. But yeah, it's just we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. I hope I'm
mm-hmm.
wrong, frankly. I hope science has somehow missed something and everything will be fine and the numbers will continue to decline. But based on what we know, that's not what's going to happen. So,
So yeah, I mean
we'll see.
the second wave could be the virus, but also a strain of suicides or more lashing out, more general unrest. It's could be a very scary time, scarier than the initial first wave.
Indeed. Yeah, so on that note, um so I do want to reiterate that this panel that we were talking about by the University of Colorado Anschutz was primarily for healthcare workers, but like Matt said, it's applicable to all of us in some way or
Yeah.
another. Um, Dr. Greasy, I don't know, makes she made an excellent point throughout the panel that we are all grieving right now. You had kind of alluded to that as
Yeah.
well, Matt. Um, and that's okay. So we're all experiencing loss on some level, whether it's our job or the loss of touch, the loss of socialization, normalcy, with the loss of privacy, whatever it might be. And of course, there are more acute cases of loss of a loved one, someone falling ill. Um, and life didn't stop. Chronic illnesses didn't stop. Mental illnesses didn't stop. So we may be looking at loss in those ways as well. It doesn't diminish anything, um, but I think it's important for all of us to acknowledge that we are all grieving in
Yeah.
some way. Um, and like you mentioned earlier in the podcast, we just hit the benchmark of over 100,000 people have died from the COVID-19 pandemic thus far. And that's a lot of
Yeah.
mourning. That's a lot of families and friends. And I just think that if we can, I think it's important. I guess I personally just feel that it's important that we acknowledge the amount of mourning that's happening in order to hopefully mitigate the consequences, um, or the effects, not the consequences. So, here are some reminders from the panel of how to view grief, and then I'll go through a list of reminders of how to help. So, um, for reminders on how to view grief, first of all, there's no right way to grieve. You can grieve however you want. Everybody has their own way. There's loss is both universal and unique to the individual person. So loss is something we all experience, and it's something that we each experience differently. She mentioned we all have a natural capacity to heal with the appropriate support, and again, that support looks different for everybody. So one person might just need comforting hugs, and another person might need psychiatric help. and there's nothing wrong with anywhere on that spectrum. Um, there's no timeline or orderly stages of grief. I personally struggle with this one. I often expect my emotions to be linear, and I'm like, especially around loss, where it's like this thing happened. I am allowed to be sad, but only for so long and only in this way, and then it is over, and then I'm done.
You can't just delete your sad bar or use up all your sad bar and then you'll be good.
Well, I try sometimes, and it doesn't work. Don't be like me. Um, so just keep in mind that there are no, it's there. Yes, there, the quote unquote stages of grief, they exist, but it's not
Hmm.
linear. You fly in and out of each of them over and over, upside and backwards and downwards, and it's just the way it is. Um, the more I find that the more I try to take my grief and shove it in an orderly box, the more it expands, much like my hair on a hot August day in the middle of the ocean. It just takes over the space around me. um, Unexpected loss changes our worldview and our sense of security. I think we all feel
Hmm.
that. So COVID just compounds all of these effects. Our rituals are disrupted, deaths are climbing, people are not seeking care when they need it, and therefore when they do get to the hospital, they're more acute, and people have been dying because of that reason, which is a whole other thing. And we can't get physical touch or support if we don't live with that person. So um, it's just worth noting and just taking a moment to say this is
Yeah.
happening. So what do we do about it? She went through a little list, and I think it was really helpful. So I'm going to share it with you. So one is acknowledge all losses. Uh, don't don't weigh a loss more than another. It's all
Hmm.
loss. It's just all loss. Don't don't shy away from asking about losses. Ask what people have lost, how they feel about it. Just ask. Listen whenever someone does open up to you. Just take a moment to listen, but do not try to fix anything. She says very accurately, advice sucks when you're grieving. You don't want advice, you just want someone to listen. So just listen. Um, Create safety if you can. Show empathy. Not if you can, just show empathy. I guess if you can. If you struggle with empathy, then, do your best. Um, Offer concrete support. So rather than saying, what can I do? Offer something specific. So if it's someone in your household, maybe you say, hey, can I wash the dishes for you tonight? Or whatever it is. So offer something concrete. Um, and then foster real connection. This, again, was for healthcare workers. So, I mean, I hope you're fostering real connection. But I guess if this is with someone that perhaps work with that you don't have a personal relationship with, then yeah, foster real connection. So really, I guess I just want to say look out for your friends and family who are healthcare workers. They acknowledged in the panel that there will be PTSD
Yeah.
later from
Hmm.
serving during this time, and we as a community can take steps to help now and later. So I think just keeping that in mind. The other thing, Matt, you're not going to
Uh-oh.
like this one, but the other thing I want to say is, and they mentioned, excuse me, in the video, was that while you are stressed, be mindful with how much you've been drinking. I'm just
Yeah.
picking on Matt because he's drinking a beer right now, but really I'm the one that's been like pouring myself a glass every 5 seconds. Um, I usually have a rule against drinking by myself, but hey, world's upside down. Uh, so yeah, there's no stigma or shame in saying that you're having trouble managing your emotions or anything that's going on right now, when you have it in you, when you feel like you can reach out to your friends, please do so. And when you feel like you have the energy to be there for others, do what you can to do that as well. And I guess I mean, we're just all trying to do
Do what we
what we
can.
can,
Yeah.
right? What do
Yeah,
you
no, there's
Any
some
thoughts on that, Matt?
great point. There's some amazing points in there, especially listen rather than, give advice. And that's something even find myself having a hard time with. But yeah, you always want to try and fix the thing instead of.
Yeah, we want to take that thing away from, like we're, oh, well, if we just make this problem go away, you'll feel better, right? But that's not how it works with
Yeah.
loss.
So yeah, it's good to just listen and not offer anything, and yeah, and if you can offer something concrete, that's always a big one too, because it feels like an empty platitude. Like if you ever need anything, let me know, and we all say it, but that's
Hmm.
that's a wide net. What if it's like, well, I need,
Yeah, and it puts the burden on the other
yeah, exactly, to
person.
think of like, oh, I should help, what do I want them to do or whatever.
Right, and then you open the whole door of I'm not worthy for help and blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
just if you have the opportunity to help somebody find a way that you can potentially bring some light into their world and just
Mm-hmm.
do it or offer to do something
Yeah,
specific.
exactly. And yeah, and that same lady mentioned that people aren't allowed to have funerals. I mean, I think there might be some, but there's not
Mhm.
as many for as many deaths that we've been having, and it's hard to get closure
Oh,
during that.
yeah.
And that becomes a hard thing to deal with your grief, because some people need that final closure to
Mhm.
get over it, or at least start the healing process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's a wild time, and I mean, as far as the second wave is concerned, I think there will be second waves, especially in big cities, and places that had a whole bunch of Memorial Day barbecues where people were breathing on each other's barbecue. But I do think that there will be some sort of mental health
mm-hmm.
fallout from this, and I think, like you mentioned, Matt, in the past we didn't really have the tools to measure as a society or even react as a society to a mental health uh,
Mm-hmm.
wave or mental health problems in that way. And uh, now we do. And I think nonprofits are going to be a big part of how we address that. So I'll be keeping my eye out.
Yeah, so yeah, watch out for your friends, you know, check in on them and just listen sometimes. And, we're all in this together and we still got a long way to go.
Yep, I think just it helps me to just I tell myself we're all just doing what we can. We're all doing
We,
what we can. That's
and you can only control
yeah.
one person, so just you know, do what you can do.
I can control another
I
person?
mean, maybe the doggo if you got a treat in your hand, but even that's
Well, I'm
stretching. And
secretly a bloodbender, so which I have totally been rewatching that whole series, um, and because I have the
mm-hmm.
DVDs because I'm old, and and I refuse. I was so mad because I've been watching it, and then I got to the last disc, and the whole thing came on
Oh yeah,
Netflix. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" But it's fine because I never actually watched Legend of Korra, so now I'm gonna watch Legend of
nice.
Korra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us, I think, unless you have anything else, that leads us into
Nope.
our next section, our distractions. What are we distracting ourselves with from the world just slowly disintegrating outside our window?
Oh boy. Um, I honestly like I mentioned, I'm working on that project. I don't. I've just been doing that, which isn't great. I definitely need a break. I need to force myself to take a day. But so guess the one thing I've been doing in the background is that I've been playing the newest season of Supergirl on Netflix. Um, and because I watch The Flash and Supergirl. That's the only two that I'll watch. Um, and I'm getting to the point where it's almost unbearable. It's fine for in the background. It's super easy to digest. Overacting galore, so you could be in the other room and know that the person is trying to tell you that they're sad. Um, it's just, but it is somewhat comforting because I've watched all the other seasons of Supergirl. It's just, I know these characters, I know how it's all gonna end. Who doesn't? Like it's just, but yeah. So anyway, that I guess that's been my little distraction for now. This past weekend was a bunch of online festivals, and that was super great. I definitely discovered new acts, and yeah, so I'm really happy with that. But
Very
yeah,
cool.
what are you distracting
Well, before I
yourself
get into
with?
mine, you should also watch Black Lightning if you're getting into the CW stuff. I think you'd actually really like that, especially this
Yeah, I
season.
watched the first season and I liked it. I just haven't done the second season, or maybe I watched the second. I don't know. I just haven't watched the most recent season, so
Second
I'll
season, pretty sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'll go
but it's
back to
good. It's
it.
good. I
Yeah,
think honestly, it's the best one of the CW shows right now. If I'm being
not a
honest,
high bar,
this is
but
true,
yeah,
but it is still very good.
yeah, I'll check it out. I might Supergirl might put me in a more solid superhero mood,
There you go.
so we'll see.
So I've been doing band stuff to get distracted. We had a big, long, like 6 hour get out the cobwebs jam since our jam room is back open.
Yay!
So we did that. We're enacting our new plan to be able to release more music and release videos and kind of work on how we can be a band without playing bars. And so a lot of distractions planning out that and working with that. And that's been really fun and really cool.
Yay! I like it when your distractions involve art.
Yeah.
It's good.
I also started reading the first volume of Alias comics, that's where Jessica Jones started. And
Got it.
so
Yep.
I haven't actually read the comics that the show is based on, so that's what I'm doing now. And so
Oh,
far, so
cool.
good. That's been really awesome. It's Brian Michael Bendis, who's one of my favorite writers, so it's always good.
Oh, well, good. I'm happy to hear that. I definitely thought my brain was like the Iliad.
Now they have that much time.
I was like, dang, Matt. But yeah, okay, different, but also good.
Different,
Okay,
but good.
got it.
So I think let's get into our last section here. Only in a pandemic.
Da-da-da.
Stories that can only happen in a pandemic. So what'd you find
Woohoo.
this week?
This week, only in a pandemic do I use my phone for the reason that it's meant for and call a friend out of the blue.
So you found out what that phone app is supposed to do?
Right? I know. Like, I pressed the button that looked like a little phone from back in the day, and then it was like dial numbers, and I was like, what? But yeah, I called Megan Stern actually on the phone randomly this past weekend, and it it was delightful catching up, and I'm so glad that I did it. But it's I don't remember the last time that I've called someone on my phone with no like plan.
Right.
Like, oh, I need to talk to you. I'm gonna make a call, and like it's not just nothing. I don't know. It's bizarre, and that used to be the way life was, and I'm very confused.
Yeah, I remember having my little book of phone numbers, and I'd just call people randomly if you're bored.
I used to remember everyone's phone
That was the
numbers.
thing too, yeah.
I barely know anyone's like area codes. So what's your only in a pandemic story?
So only in a pandemic do the penguins start taking over.
The actual
The
penguins or
the
the hockey?
No, the
penguins.
actual penguins.
Okay.
You'll love this story, so I'll send it to you as well. But
Yay.
penguins in the Kansas City Zoo recently paid a visit to the nearby Nelson Atkins Museum of Arts, wandering the halls as they admire the Baroque and Impressionist masterpieces.
Oh, artsy
Since
penguins.
they can't be open, they just decided to let the penguins run around the art museum.
Oh my God, I love
And you
that.
can actually see
Oh.
them looking at the paintings, like stopping at a painting and looking at it for a bit.
Oh. They have
They
questions.
do.
They're like, what did you do to this planet, you two-legged apes? Oh, that's so cute. I can't wait to see the
So
pictures.
yeah, that's a great story. I loved it. It's like, oh well, let the penguins do what they're gonna do. There's actually been a few penguin related stories because like they need to be socialized, and the aquarium's closed where they're at or
Hmm.
of a
Hmm.
zoo or whatever. So they've been like, letting them run around the aquarium and see whales and stuff. And
Aw.
this one was just great. She's like, just let them be through the art museum.
I love that. Where was that?
This is in Kansas City.
All right, Kansas City. We see you.
So
I love that. That's so great.
So let's get into our hermit level before we end today. So on the Leonardo DiCaprio scale, a 10 being Howard Hughes and a 1 being the Wolf of Wall Street, how big of a hermit have you been?
I would say that I'm an 8.5. I was going to say 9, but I'm kind of like afraid to get to the pee in the jars section of being a
Have you
hermit.
taken a shower in
I
the last 7 days?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely taken a shower. I've even done another load of laundry.
Oh.
Um so that's a thing. I haven't folded any laundry. In fact, it's all still just piled on top of the dryer.
But it's clean.
But am I've officially done laundry. I've taken a shower. I've taken many showers. Um, but I've just been like wake up, work, go to bed. Wake up, work, go to bed. Wake up. Like it's just I'm just yeah. What is English language? Do not know.
Just start hissing people if they go by your window.
Right. Yeah, but this is like the third week in a row that I've been pretty hermity, so I really don't want to. But I guess I'll try to socialize a little bit this week.
Yeah. Get out there on the interwebs. Talk to people.
I'm so close to like not deleting my Facebook, but just taking a social media hiatus and taking the apps off my phone.
That's actually
Um,
healthy every so often, at least a couple times
it's
a year.
really healthy. Yeah, I really love it when I do it, but I'm afraid of what that will do to my psyche when I'm already
Yeah.
isolated and I'm not leaving the house to go dance or, interact with my students or anything like
That,
maybe not a great idea right now.
that is true. You have to have
But
you have to have you have to build up something else outside of that before you can do it.
what if I teach Bana a language in blinking?
No, I think you actually need to talk to people.
Oh,
I mean, Banna thinks she's people, but she's not
she
people.
does think she's people. Oh, her little foot is twitchy because she's dreaming.
But yeah, they'll start like a game night or something, an online game night or something, and then you can slowly replace that with social media because that's at least people you can not hate.
Maybe I'll think about it. Maybe I'll do like a another Netflix party or something. That's 2 hours. I could do two
There you
hours
go.
socializing with somebody. I don't know. Anyway, how about you?
I'm honestly probably at like a 2. I have been all over the place. I had like a bit like my old school busy weekend. Went to my brother's for like early supper, and got to hang out with my entire family, and also got a dozen straight out of the chicken eggs. So I've been eating those.
They're so
They're really
good.
good. I've been making Harley Quinn style egg sandwiches.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
Now I want an egg sandwich. What have you done?
And then, we had the band jam that went for an entire day. And then I went over to a friend's house. Was it the same day? I don't know. One day, I can't even remember. We
A
had
day.
sort of it wasn't on Memorial Day. That's right. But we had like a Memorial Day thing where it was like four of us and we sat around a fire and listened to music and hung out.
Mm,
So
that sounds delightful. That's a lot of
So yeah,
socializing.
slowly getting out there, but in safe ways where you know every single person that you're with and
And you trust that they're not
that they're not lying. And
like licking the grocery
yep,
shelves when you're not looking.
exactly. So
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you have been socializing. Maybe I just like gave you all my socializing
there we
energy
go.
and you can just take it from here.
I'll reward you with social HP with a, you know,
Hmm.
I'll find a trinket.
Mm, sure.
And get
As I lock it away. Never have to see it.
So yeah,
Anyway,
let's go ahead and wrap this up. So where can people find us if they want to find us on the interwebs?
you can find us at Goth and Sloth on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find us on YouTube, the Goth and the Sloth podcast. And yeah, please holler at us and let us know if you have topic ideas, or just like say hi. I don't know. We like you. We don't even know who you are, but we
Yeah,
like you.
come ask questions. Do all the
Yeah, for
things.
real. Anything. Like we're pretty open books. I mean, in the sense that like we'll talk to you about anything. I won't tell you anything about like where I live.
What's your blood type?
But I don't know actually. But like yeah, both of us are pretty chatty Cathy's if you just chat with us,
For sure. And
even if we don't like being around people.
yeah, and if people want to hit you up directly, where can they find you?
At Luna_Minuit on Twitter and Instagram. Yep. What about you, Matt? Where are all your
You can
socials?
get me on Twitter at wizard_Matt. I'm very active on there. My Instagram is wizard cosplay. I'm trying to be active on there if I can. I did post an egg sandwich picture there, so got that going.
Egg
My
sandwich.
band's SoundCloud is Leonardo Band on SoundCloud, and my YouTube channel is Matt the Pharaoh Wizard, where I just had a new episode released today. Uh,
Woohoo!
just showing all the different kingpins that we've gotten over the years.
Oh,
It's
nice.
very fun. Did you know John Rhys Davy
Egg.
played the kingpin?
Whoa. No.
Yeah. In the
Interesting.
Trial of the Incredible Hulk, the second like sequel to the 70s TV show.
Holy
Yeah.
cow. Well, I will watch your video and find out more about that.
So, yeah. So thank you for joining us for
Awesome.
another episode of The Goth and the Sloth. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and before we
Oh,
go, please like and follow and subscribe and download and do all the things and leave a review, which would be so awesome. Like, even just the stars. Definitely better if you write a little note. And you will make us smile and stuff.
yeah.
So, yeah. All right, y'all. Please wash your hands.
And all glory to Gorzo.